Men.
Last week, we had to end the show because we were out of time. But this week, we are continuing with the second part of the show, which is a very simple but very serious thing. And we're talking about moving on after a divorce, and especially with respect to men. Now, guys, we talked about compatibility, and Colin, you've been a big proponent of that. Chris does not believe in that, and I'll tell you what my thinking of compatibility is. And I'm going to use Chris as an example, just as an example. So Chris is a church-going man and all that. Chris meets Hilda, who hangs out with Colin.
Don't say Hilda. He's a married man.
No. I'm just giving for example's sake. Just for example, say
talk about a certain guy called Peter.
Okay.
That's
fine. There's a certain guy called Chris.
A certain guy called Peter.
You know what Chris fears? Chris doesn't want you to see this name into the universe and spiritually yoke him to
and then Hilda comes from nowhere.
And now he's in his bed sleeping and he's just getting visions of Hilda twerking on him.
Whichever way it goes.
Okay. All right. Stefan.
No. He has his own Hilda.
All right.
Use someone.
All right. There's Eric. There's Eric. Okay. There's Eric out there. He's a church-going guy. Yeah. He's into. He's a very spiritual man. But then he's in a supermarket somewhere. He bumps into Hilda, who hangs out with people like Colin. Okay. Now, he decides he's going to start dating her. Do you think those two are compatible?
Yes. The problem is that we think about compatibility. It's multi-dimensional. That's the first thing, right? But at the foundational level, it's seated in values.
Yeah.
That's what I think, right? You can be when you're not a church-going person. Or you can be a church-going person. Both of you are thieves. The church-going person comes to church every Sunday and repents. But they go back and steal. And the other guy doesn't go to church, but he's also a thief, right? Because church is it's an experience and it's a ritual that we perform, get through our lives. I think that compatibility exists where values are aligned.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to be looking for as we look for partners. I think that when Dan did round one, he may not have had that strong lens. But
so he didn't find somebody who was compatible with him.
No, because sometimes, and this is the thing, we think that compatibility is we are the same life station. We are from the same tribe. We understand the same things. But what we are starting to discover is we have to fundamentally believe that if you're with someone who's kind, for example, and you're kind, when things are bad, those shared values become the foundation. That's why we come back to. Yeah. No matter how hard things are, these are the things that we shall never do.
Okay.
No matter how angry I am, there are lines we don't cross. There are things we don't say.
So you're saying these are conversations that must be had.
They must be had. They must be had. Now, the other thing which we've been, and I think it's been a recurring theme this whole month, and it's a big problem for Chris. I've been telling Chris about this thing about our culture being non-confrontational, right? People don't like to address uncomfortable things. When Chris says we must always address it, and I tell him the reason why it's a societal problem is because there's so much effort that has gone into not making it an issue. Like, so much in Uganda doesn't get spoken, it gets implied. People don't confront uncomfortable things. Then comes your national TV and says, guys, there's an epidemic of masturbation in marriages.
And we're like,
oh my God, just Peter off the show.
It is just Peter.
I mean, Peter is the show. I was going to call him the main, but
I knew you were going to.
But that's an issue, right? And we can laugh, but the epidemic of not confronting and having uncomfortable conversations means that it takes us longer to arrive at the solutions and the discussions and the discomfort. And that's why in Uganda, it has to rain, and then people die, and people's goods get swept away, and then someone says, we need to fix the drainage.
So just the thing you've just been saying
Yes.
right there, because we're talking about coping with after you're left after divorce.
Yes.
Okay. So that's actually like when it rains.
Yeah.
To say a catastrophic event has happened, we need to stop and analyze this and say what happened and how do we move on.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how about if I told you that if there was somewhere in which you could get early warning signs on what could be going south and you could do something about it, don't you think that could help?
Yeah.
Yes, but there's also the could have, would have, should have.
And the reason why I'm saying
Yes.
is on top of Mariwell, the book that's come out, there's a website we put up, mariwell.net, where a couple can take the Mariwell pressure test that shows you things you're doing well, where you're doing well in that relationship, and possible areas where trouble could come from if unaddressed. Yes. And it's not like a permanent thing, it's saying you're choleric, melancholic, or whatever. It's like a dipstick, like at this particular time. Because many times, I don't know if you can tell us, but many times when people go through some of these scenarios, they didn't see the thing coming. They don't know. It's like you have an idea of something is off, but you can't name it. And how I know that is, as a pastor, one of the challenges I used to have is you're doing marital counseling. People are not agreeing. Listen, let me finish. But the thing is not named. And then from the church perspective, you're giving these bandage solutions.
Which is what Colin was talking about.
So the point is, exactly. So the point is that if there can be somewhere that we can, a couple is able to know what's going on that's causing friction, then you're able to address it.
But you see, Chris,
I hear that. First, I hear that as a solution. But the thing I'm talking about is, it is the same challenge for you. Just imagine you have a sister who's in a relationship with Peter, and she has to.
We said we are not using people's names.
I said Peter.
Yes, I don't want you to call some spirits here. Okay.
Hilda.
Hilda will come.
I said, no, I didn't. You're hanging out with Peter.
Listen, to convince a man like Peter or even Jaluo to say, let's go for counseling. A lot of marriages fail just at the step of convincing the man to go for counseling.
Yes.
And that inertia then amplifies across, because he won't go for counseling. You can't take him for checkups. He simply says, me, I'm a man. Men cannot be told what to do. But think about what that multiply effect looks like across time, across scale. And those challenges continue to compound. It doesn't mean that, and the same energy it takes to take a man to counseling is the same energy it takes to get him to do this test.
So Peter, Colin, no, just a minute, Peter, allow me just respond to something. So actually, in realizing that people don't find it easy to go for counseling, because most, like we said earlier on our show, most people, especially men, don't want to have their business out there.
Yes,
so,
it's embarrassing.
So part of why I personally got to write this book on Mariwell is to give a framework for 4 anchors, 16 keys, and a way you can actually privately test out what's going on in a relationship. And so what I was looking for is, how can you as a couple almost go through a counseling process that's just yours, a system where if you actually apply yourselves honestly, he's reading the book, he'll tell you, if you apply yourself honestly to what it is that is in there in the book and in the Mariwell pressure test, you should try it. You keep
I'm not going to try it. I want to tell you now. It's the same way I can't go for counseling. Because I can't be telling you that we have a national problem. We are conflict avoidant. We don't face issues.
So
I telling me I must go home.
But the part of
my wife and say,
solution,
let's go to
Colin,
this
the
website.
point is this, is that you have a private internal mechanism where you're dealing with that thing, just the two of you. And it helps you to talk. Because, guys, can I tell you honestly, So one of the things in marriage is, the challenge with marriage is the lack of conviction. By the way, the convictions thing, values, it's true that conviction is important. Actually, you talk about it in the book. But the other is sometimes poor communication, right? And I have found in marriage that it's not really about that you're not talking. Because in marriage, we talk about logistics. Who is picking the child? Who is dropping the child? Who is shopping?
Those are easy things to
exactly.
say.
Yeah, because they're easy
Communication.
conversations.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
I am not feeling loved in this thing.
Yes, and I'm saying what you're saying. So I'm saying that I actually found that the thing that's important is conversation, which is about the sharing of what is really on one's heart. So like the thing of I'm not feeling loved. Because the thing of the epidemic of masturbation in marriage is even a poem I wrote once. Why married men pray for sex. It's like you can be in a marriage and it's not happening.
Yeah.
Okay? And so for a guy, that just makes you feel unloved because it's the top need for a man, sexual fulfillment, just like affection is the top need for the women.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So the thing is that conversation truly gets you to start talking about what's really going on.
Okay, guys, now we do need to get into a break quickly, but one of the things which I want us now to address when we come back is, now guys, we've talked about an ideal situation and how we do not get there, but coulda, woulda, shoulda, we are here.
Well,
You're in this situation.
the only divorced person is done.
Jeez.
No, he can neither confirm nor deny.
So, but how does a man move on? So
From
divorce
what?
has happened from divorce. It has happened. There's nothing you can do. You cannot go back. You can't do your counseling. The woman has packed her things, just as in Dan's case, and she has left.
Like literally
how do
everything.
you move?
Everything is
Literally
done.
everything. But that was a ninja move.
Men
Now we are here at Sanga Courts having a very deep conversation about men moving on from a divorce. If you're a man out there who has issues, or you know a man who has issues, let's have this chat on our socials. Our hashtag is NTV MEN across all platforms.
The platform.
But on X, our handle is NTV MEN_UG.
Men. Men.
Welcome back to the show. Now we're here at Sanga Courts having a conversation about men moving on from divorce. Before we went into the break, Colin was threatening to slap me. Now, I don't know whether that's going to happen. Am I feeling safe? No, I'm not. But I hope we can end this show when I'm safe. But I'm at a good distance. So at least I'm there. But anyway, seriously, guys. Now, in an ideal world, we should not get there. Probably, Chris, you would not understand this, but there are a lot of men who have either they are divorced officially or they are divorced unofficially. Jalo mentioned it.
Oh my
Jalo
God,
mentioned
don't.
it.
Just so
Jalo
you know,
mentioned
I
it.
understand
No,
it
I
because
mentioned it as
I
a...
understand it because I grew up in it.
Okay,
Just
yes,
so you
all
know.
right. Jalo mentioned that there are also some men who are in relationships and they are not there.
Yeah.
So they go home, they have a wife, in quotes, they've got a marriage, but when they go home, it's cold.
It's
They're
cold.
not getting sex. They're not getting even
love,
a simple
no
no love,
affection,
no affection, nothing. But to keep up appearances, they keep doing it. Now, my question, and Colin, I'll start with you, is as a man, do you just say, you know what, I have been left, let me just put on my big boy pants and move on?
I think it has been my lived experience that situations like this are dealt with. One, you have to go countercultural. You have to go against everything we've been trained. So our culture trains us to be conflict avoidant. Don't talk about difficult things. Don't stir up trouble.
As
right? And which is that same thing about divorce but not divorced, right? You're in the house, but
Not in the marriage.
yes, not in the marriage. Or you've left the house, but you're still the next of kin. You're still in documents. And I think about that because I think that sometimes indecision costs us so much.
Yes, it does.
The failure to decide.
Yes, it does.
And that's why I sort of say, I advocate for this counter. You have to go against what you've been trained and what you've seen. And therefore, the thing is to then get these things in writing, which is, certify them. I am leaving. This is the documentation. This is the process. We're going to apply for this thing and leave. Because if you are wrong, you're not the first person to come back and remarry. But the cost, you've not lived here for 3 years, there's a problem, you're in the titles, you're in the things, right? And I think that continues to anchor you. You meet a new person, you can't marry them because you're still legally married, there is a lawsuit somewhere, you're at church but you have security. Because you're hoping
somebody
that
show
Jaluo's sister will not come and say, my
chaos.
name is Hilda, and this marriage cannot proceed. And I think for men, that decisiveness is also part of the healing. It doesn't mean that you've healed, but it's part of the leadership that we expect men to show. The decisiveness to say, this is done. I understand, and you take accountability. I understand there were mistakes. There are things which were not done. But now, because closing doors and formalizing things is also part of that leadership and that next step. Otherwise, you remain with roots and hunger zone and things that are pulling you back into a situation which you no longer want to be in. So I think that's a big part of how we do that. So we go countercultural, we document things, we formalize, we decide, and we move. And why do we do all those things? We do those things because for men, progress is tied into momentum. We've got to keep moving. You've got to keep, because if you stagnate, then you get locked in, then you're in
depression.
You're in depression, you're doing what? So you keep moving, you find a new hobby, you find some new friends, you move a city, you do what? Because in that journey is where your bounce back is seated. And I believe that the story of the man isn't finished until he decides to give up.
Okay, interesting. Just before you get to Jalo, Dan, you, in line with what Colin has said about moving, about momentum, you mentioned that two people told you that now that everything is gone, you're going to grow. Okay.
You need to move.
You need to move.
You need to move. And
is movement really that important from your experience?
I think it's the most important thing. What he said of deciding, most men, that's why people say men fear commitment, because still it's a decision. We always want to stay in that
safe.
You want to be safe at all times. Most people tell us when you're doing something, always look at the exit. Yeah. So they want to stay there. When it comes to deciding to do something, because all in all, you can't stay in somewhere where you know yourself this is toxic. You understand? Because the more you stay there as a man, remember for us, we are movers. Your work is disorganized. Your relationships with other people is disorganized. People no longer understand you. The people you work with no longer understand you because you've lost interest in everything that you do. And it beats your mental health. So as a man, and I think I don't know, this is a very good platform by the way, but we need to tell men to learn to speak up. Because in the world we are in right now, it's different. This is a generation, the generations are totally different. This can be a very safe space for men. They can watch, they can learn a lot of things and all. But one of the things that, as a person that I learned was to speak up. I share my story everywhere. Because the more I share it, I find someone who is really struggling.
With the same thing,
they maybe want to know, how are you here? You understand? For me, I'm still stuck. There's a person I know who got a divorce like 8 years ago. And he's still disorganized, like totally disorganized. He doesn't know. And then when they find you, you've shared a story, and then they'd be like, well, how did you do it?
Yes, that's interesting. Because, and Jalu, I'd want you to pitch in here, because you have often spoken about men speaking out. Like you've talked about it a lot. But then how is a man supposed to speak out about their issues without feeling like they're embarrassing themselves and looking like they are not handling their business?
And I want to talk to the men who are in relationships but divorced.
Okay.
And I want to go back to a conversation we were having previously about compatibility. There are two facets of this conversation. Compatibility and marriage are two different things. Compatibility talks to like values, like he was insinuating. We didn't grow up in the same neighborhood.
You're insinuating.
You know, our values are different.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a story of a relationship I was in, and I took this lady back home, and my mom categorically told me, this isn't your woman. Like, you cannot date this lady. And I asked her why. I said, you don't have the same values. You're brought up very differently from this lady.
Just by meeting her once?
Yeah, no. Like, she stayed at my place for a minute, and she told me, this cannot work. And I was, no, it can work, but eventually it failed. And I came to understand that she was coming from values, like you're brought up with these values, and she's not brought up with these values, and it cannot work. Marriage is a totally different conversation. Marriage is building a company, and companies have rules of engagement. You understand? If these things do not work, it will fail. So I'm talking to the individuals that are in relationships and they are divorced. There's this thing that has been built in men that we cannot retract. We cannot go back and start over. You can always go back and start over.
But you make it
your
sound
role
so
as a
easy.
dude. No, listen. When you put it in your head, your role as a dude is also to create habits. That is part of your role. And I strongly believe that one of the roles as a dude, as a guy, is to make that relationship work. You can put that this is how we resolve issues. This is how we come to the table. Trust you me, she will come to the table.
We cannot act like there are no bad women. The only reason why people divorce is because the man had issues. The bad men didn't do this, they didn't do that. There are also just some women who are wrong. And it reaches a point, you're like, this is not the person I saw. There was a very interesting meme that I saw a few days ago that said, when you just keep giving a woman money, and just know that you're paying school fees for lessons that she's about to teach you. So there are women like that. Now, so when the woman is at fault, because there are some very good men we've known who have just been messed up by nasty women, what advice do you have for them?
Nasty women are sweet.
That's a very pregnant question. But I
You know what, Chris? Just hang on to that thought. We're going to take it on as soon as we get back from the break. Colin says that nasty women are sweet. If you agree with him, then we want to hear from you on our because we need to get this conversation going. Please, whatever you do, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. We need to breathe, and so do you.
Men. Men.
Welcome back from the break. We're in the final segment having an interesting discussion about men moving forward from divorce. Now, before we went into the break, Colin asserted that nasty women are sweet. Could that be the reason why a lot of men are stuck with nasty women?
Oh my God!
Chris is here to decipher that. So, I mean,
No heaven for you.
no, but is this what you say? It is what you say. So, Chris, now, to put it into context, to narrow it down, we've had situations where now, in like Dan's case, divorce happens, the woman goes with everything. And then even as a man, you have to still keep digging into your pockets to take care of the kids, to help with the upkeep. Yet, one of the reasons why she left you was you were having financial issues. So it's like, even when you're out of the relationship, you're being buried deeper and deeper and deeper into the ground.
Yeah. So first of all, I really empathize with people who have gone through a divorce. And like Daniel said at the beginning of the previous show, it's not an easy thing for anyone to experience. It's like your soul is being torn out of your heart.
Yeah.
If at all there's a thing like that, it's very painful, and you can't sort of, just dust it under the carpet and say, yeah, move on. It was an event. It's not an event because you had invested your life, your emotion, your dreams, and everything like that. Okay. That said, Jesus was asked about divorce. And so the Pharisees were saying, look, if a man, divorces 7 women, who will be his wife in heaven? Says there's no marriage in heaven. But then he also talked about, says, okay, now if I have a problem with a woman, should I just divorce and just give a certificate? Because those days they would just give a certificate, say, Nkugobye, you find he wrote a letter, says you're out. And he says it was not meant to be that way. And he says Moses allowed you to divorce your wives because of hardness of heart. Okay? And so it's a whole thing. Here is what happens. By the time 2 people who were in love before and agreed to spend all their lives together, by the time it gets to a point where they say no more, hearts have hardened, positions have hardened, and
There's no compromise.
there's no compromise. Everyone has dug in on their thing, or at least one of them has dug in and has decided this is an irreconcilable difference, because most differences can be resolved until you name them irreconcilable. If you notice in Daniel's story, he still hoped the marriage would work even as they're going through court, but then he gets to a point and says, you know what, that person there doesn't want to be with me. I want them to be happy. Happy for them means me no there. So, he signs and says, let's move on. So what I am saying is that it's not necessarily that it's men who are bad in a marriage or women who are bad in a marriage. Because if we have a gender dichotomy in dealing with this, we would be immature in looking at what happens, because it takes 2 to tango. So the lady he's talking about is not here, but she must have also had her things that she did, because there are no angels in this mix, right? So
she took the things in the house.
among other things, but even before the things
In
were
our
taken,
house.
Everything.
In our house.
yeah. So even
Left
before,
with a chair,
even
man.
before the things were taken, there's behavior. So the thing is that I find that one of the things that helps marriage work is just being gracious toward one another, like just having forgiveness. Because here's the thing: whether you intend it or not, you're going to wrong your spouse.
Yeah.
You are going to. You see me here, I'm a pastor. I wrong my wife. And the reason why I'm married is she has forgiven me many times. And I've done the same for her. So if marriage is like police, like, if I catch you this, if I catch you that, man, you're going to catch each other, and you get to a point and say, your list is too long. So to answer your question directly, I think that there potentially are both nasty men and nasty women in a marriage. What makes it different is you forgive each other.
Yeah. So now, when we talk about forgiveness, and Colin, this one I'll put it to you. In your opinion, is forgiveness an important part for a man to move on? So you've gone through this nasty divorce. It is what it is. Is it to your benefit to forgive your ex-wife and say, you know what, whatever, it doesn't matter what she did, I'm okay with it. This is a new chapter. I'm moving on. Or do you continue to say, until she's 6 feet under, it's me and her?
I'm generally not a forgiving person, but you know this.
Yeah.
I really am not a forgiving person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's also part of my own trauma. It's things I deal with, but I don't forgive people. But it's a trade-off. So because when I was younger, I the environment in which I grew up had a lot of anger. And And so I promised myself that I would not be an angry person. So I don't have anger.
But you don't forgive.
Yes, but that's the offside. That's the balance.
Okay.
I don't express anger. I don't feel it. It's an emotion that's dead to me. But the dead side of that is then I don't forgive anything at all.
But I'm
But that's-
confused.
Yeah.
So you don't forgive, but you don't have anger.
Yes.
The reason why you don't
So
forgive is
if you
because
have-
you're angry at
no,
a situation.
No. If you have anger, you say the thing, we deal with it, we move. If you don't have the anger, that entire situation then sits somewhere. And that's where you park it.
Yeah.
And until we are done, we resolve it then. In my own time, in my own readiness,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow, interesting.
So no, I generally don't think that things should be forgiven.
Yeah.
I believe in retribution. I believe in justice. I believe in revenge. Because listen, like we're all not going to live like Chris. We can't just forgive people. We must punish people. We must execute retribution. Because what that does, it creates clear, solid boundaries around how we live. And who wants to mess with you? They're like, you know what? I could try, but
From what I have seen.
there are a lot of scars on that road. But again, as I always say, as we always say, it's a world view. It's a way to approach the world and how to negotiate it. Maybe at 60, I will learn to be a forgiving old man.
But
But now, in my youth, with everything I've seen and all the trauma that I carry,
they're gonna feel you. Eh?
They have to
man, it's me and you. One of us is going to be.
So, guys, we need to wrap up the show. First of all, I want to thank you, Dan, for being very vulnerable. You brought something to light that a lot of people bury in the soil. So, as we wrap up, I would like to have your parting shots.
This is a very interesting topic of how men deal with the aftermath of divorce. So, as us, me, my friends who have gone through this,
You have many friends?
not very many.
You have
who
a
gone through
community
it.
of men who are...
Not a community,
Okay.
but
People
I
who
have
understand.
people who understand this thing. We sat down and were like, how can a man find a safe place? Because even at the time when you're vulnerable, you can't talk to someone.
Yeah.
I've been in a place where I've talked to a man and he didn't say anything, but he just cried. You understand? So there, you ask yourself, how many things is he carrying? You know. So we've created it's a system, and if you're okay, we could even like work on it or like work together. It's ready. It's called SUBI. Yeah, this is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah.
It's May, and it's a space where a man, you're on your phone, in your house, in your wherever they have left you, just go on that subi.com, get some information, talk to a counselor. You can even
Don't beat the meat.
book. Just don't die in your thoughts, because the world is moving so fast, and before you know it, you start seeing your friends at a certain level, and
You're being left.
for you feel like you're left behind and all that. So the main thing that you can do, you can't talk to your friends. We can no longer talk, because even the pressures are so many. Pressure is a lot, and all these things are bringing men to dying so fast. These days, men are dying at the age of 50, 55.
Yeah.
You get? And we ask ourselves, why are they dying these days? Maybe the vein that takes blood to the head has burst. Why has it burst? Anxiety. Too much, constant anxiety.
Yeah.
Blood is moving so fast, and then your veins cannot hold the speed at which the blood is moving. And why? Because you have a lot of unresolved traumas. And most of us, for me, I think, for example, when I was doing therapy, I was told that I had, it's called PTSD. I had trauma that was not resolved. And I carried it into the marriage. And by the time I left the marriage, that's why I became suicidal. Because I felt like I have lost.
Yeah.
And that's what the devil's in us, even the devil in the world wants. He wants you to reach at a point where you be like,
I can't do this anymore.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Let me just. And so many men are at that
point.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm tired of this. So I think men need to just do it for yourselves, just do it for the society, just do it for the community.
Yeah.
You need to speak out.
All right. Cool. Fantastic. Jalu, your parting shot.
You know, I've been thinking about like my parting shot. There are so many angles to this conversation today, but you know, thank you for actually, you know, coming and sharing. But there are two things I'll say. Your role as a man is to take control. Understand? Take control. And I'm talking to individuals who are in situations where things are falling apart. They don't see eye to eye with the wife, and you're in the brink of, maybe you're thinking that, you know what, I should just leave this relationship. I strongly believe, I do not know why, but I'm one of those guys that doesn't believe in divorce. Your role as a guy is to get things
In place.
in order.
Yeah.
Build foundation, build systems where this relationship has to work. Because at the end of the day, especially when you have children,
Yeah.
these kids do not choose to be here. You don't want to be in a situation where you have divorced and you're thinking, I should have done this as a different way. Build those foundations today. But if you're in a situation where it's gone, the reality is that people get divorced, you know. Build things I always talk about. Build a community. Have whether it's church, whether it's friends that you know will help you go through this, and understand one thing: life moves on. You know, move on. Yeah.
Nice. Chris, your parting shot as we wrap up.
Yeah, so I, again, for men like Daniel and others who've gone through the unfortunate scenario of experiencing a divorce, I know it must be tough, right? And you know, as you were walking us through your journey, you know, it's a whole thing of what do you do when this stuff is happening. It's like all the problems go have a meeting, a global meeting, and then they come to your home one day. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of pain and things like that. Decisions you make, some you like, some you don't, etc. So I really, I pray that God helps you and all that. I think that there's discussions to be had on what do you do after. Because there's people who come from a persuasion of not believing in divorce, and so they get separated and live a celibate life. Some people do that, okay, based on whatever the convictions may be. There's people who say, okay, this has ended, we'll have another wrap, okay? But the question is, when do you have another wrap? When you are still hurting or after you're healed? Because there's still, there is the misfortune of opportunity to repeat the same mistakes. There's a preacher called Kenneth Copeland. He's married 3 times. 2 times before he gave his life to Christ. The 3rd time, he wasn't yet a believer, but the 3rd time he married Gloria Copeland, and then they became believers. In America, people marry many times sometimes. But on the 3rd time, he was still being cantankerous, and his wife, Gloria, comes behind him, and she's rubbing his shoulders and says to him, Kenneth, I find no fault in you. All right? She just made a cautious decision that she's not going to witch hunt him for all the mistakes he's made and that kind of thing. Yeah. To this day, they've been married over 60-something years now. He's 89. And actually, yeah, so he's 89 years. And he still cries. He tears up when he hears that. Because sometimes you just have someone who just understands you. Yeah. Someone who allows you to be you.
Yeah.
Is really important. And I think that can be community, like Jaluo has said. That can be God in prayer. but also in cases where there is a consideration of a re-engagement, that can be another person. But please, 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 I don't know what you guys would call this. When you have just been in a bad relationship and you immediately get into
Rebound.
rebound,
Yeah.
that should be avoided. But otherwise, I strongly believe that any man can be happily married to any woman if there is a structure built around. You can marry well if love is supported by fortitude, by foundation, by friendship and fulfillment.
All right. Cool. Great stuff. Colin, your parting shot as we wrap up this.
I think about Dan's story, and it causes me so much grieving in my heart, because you were right. There are some bad men and there are some bad actors out there, but there are also some bad women and bad actors out there. I've always believed in living and leading with purpose. And I think that to all the men out there, if you're trying to find a purpose, and if your purpose is to build a home and surround it with love and provide for people, you should aim to do that. Failing that, I think that it's painful because you think about it as your life. But then you have to step back and say, look at this story across 100,000 years. Right? 100,000 years, 60% of all men did not reproduce. And I think when you take that perspective, when you take the long view, your purpose can change. It can be different. You can live and be fulfilled in God and, be a priest. You can do so many other things with your life. I think the principle, my only advice on this is you have to live. Whatever it is, do not die. Whether it's suicide or recklessness or drunk, whatever it is, don't die. That's the only outcome and the only advice. Because if you don't die across time, you appreciate as a man, you appreciate in value, you appreciate in wisdom, you appreciate in knowledge. A one-eyed lame man in a village who is 60 years is still the wisest man, where the oldest younger men are 20 years. Because life and experience creates immeasurable value in men, even if it is just to tell stories of the things they've survived. And that's my only story about this. Like Peter, that's my lesson. Live on as a man. Choose life, live on. And time will vindicate you.
Nice. Wow. You could end up as a pastor. I felt that. Now
I bind.
Now you've killed it. We were doing so well. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from the men. We have been talking about moving on after divorce. My word to you is very similar to what Colin has said. Just don't die. Move on. There's always something better out there. I believe if she's not yours, she's not yours. Just let her go and move on. There's somebody out there for you. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you next week only on your favorite show. And that is Men.